Hello, everybody. Welcome. I'm so excited to introduce you to one of my dear friends, Jen Henry of Lifestyle Recovery Solutions. Oh my gosh. So you guys, you've got to hear Jen's story. She's freaking phenomenal. She has done so much, not only with herself, but also with her clients. So Jen and I met back in HCI when we were going through our certifications to be health coaches. And we've just been friends and sisters. And Jen's been a client of mine inside of Activate Abundance, and she's worked with me in a mastermind. And now we're actually mastermind sisters together. So for those of you that think that you cannot have a six-figure business as a health coach, I want you to look right here. You absolutely can. And I really, Jen, I'm just so glad that you are here and you can just kind of share a little bit about your story and what has inspired you to do the work. And you're amazing. I'm so grateful for you.
First of all, let me thank you for that. That's my heart is exploding right now, but more so than anything else, I just want to express my gratitude because you were an absolute key piece to my success in the areas of the areas of my business that I have right now and in my life, because I just adore you. And you're an amazing example of what it looks like to actually put your happiness and your health first and be able to come from the place of overflowing into your clients and who you serve. And I get the opportunity to do that same work. And I am not a business coach, although I do help my clients in their business, but from a place of they are worth the effort in their own life for themselves. They are worth the effort to take care of their bodies, to take care of their mind, to take care of their spirit, to take care of that, the just that conscious self, for lack of better terms. And it comes from a place of always growing up, being everything for everyone, having to people please in order to be okay, needing you to be okay for me to be okay. And I thought, if I like what you like and I do what you do and I carve myself into this thing that I think you'll like, then I'll be good. Yep. And I never really had any sense of self or self-identity. I never really I was so chronically disconnected, not just from others, but from myself, that if I didn't get connected with myself, and I realized this through quite a few trials and tribulations, that no one could do that for me. No one could decide what I wanted to experience in this life but me. And I had to learn how to do that. And so I'm so grateful for the last 12 years. I have stayed out of prison. I have stayed off the streets. I have stayed away from methamphetamine and using intravenous drugs. And I have focused on what is right for me, what serves me, being able to say yes to what serves me and no to what doesn't. And now I get to teach my clients how to do the same.
Oh my gosh, Jen, this is like, I cannot, by the way, you guys, Jen's book is going to be coming out soon. So you can hear all of the freaking awesome journey that Jen has been through to where she is today. Not only, and we all continue to heal ourselves, but not only the journey that she's gone through to just live a normal life, but how you have just risen above, truly like a phoenix, and you're helping other people do that too. So can you share a little bit about Lifestyle Recovery Solutions? Because that's a really powerful, not only is it a powerful program, but it's a powerful way that you support your clients too.
Well, I think that the key thing for me to acknowledge and to point out is that you were the one who actually helped me. They always talked about create your signature system, create your program. What is the process that you take your clients through to get X result? And, I didn't know. And when I wanted to first write a book, everyone says, Jen, you need to write your story. You need to write a book. I really thought it would be my autobiography. And then I realized that when I actually approached my coach, Sarah, originally, she wasn't she's huge now. She's created an absolute movement around women and really anyone trying to get their message out and create a movement around that and writing books or speaking or any of that. But I didn't have the system. And then I met you. Well, not met you, but then I was really being nurtured by you in some of your communities. And I just felt called to really tap into what my system was, what my process was. I don't know what were the pieces, right? And so I went on this introspective journey with you around how is it that I serve my clients? What is the process I take them through? And I really had to find out what that process was for me. And that was the freedom framework. And that was what was born of that. And it's a 6-step process. It was 5 for a while. And as you say, things evolve and things change and it's ever changing. But for now, it is these 6 steps that has really given me the opportunity to create a solid foundation, get clear on where I'm actually at, being connecting to where I'm at, conscious connection to where I'm actually at. And then from there, I'm able to create a vision of what I want. And sometimes that is very difficult to do. And in a lot of programs I had been in, they really wanted me to create the vision first and like see where I wanted to go. And that's a very common thing, but I wasn't in a place in my life where I had the kind of perspective I needed to have and I had no clue where I was actually at. I didn't know what I wanted for lunch, right? At this time, the first time someone ever asked me, where do you see yourself in a year, let alone 5 or 10 years? I'm sitting in group therapy and group counseling in rehab a month after I'd been out of prison for 17 months. And I don't know at this point, right? I don't know. I don't want the normal kids and husband and house and thing. Like, I want to like be okay. And I want to be, what does okay look like? Right? Like, not because I have all this stuff, but because I'm okay. Because I grew up with all this stuff. I was a spoiled little brat. I was an only child. I had horses. I had property. I didn't know the word no. That I didn't know consequences. I didn't learn consequences until I was standing in front of a judge.
Wow.
Real truthfully. And so I just kind of did, other than the consequences of the streets that I learned, which was not applicable to a lot of what I do. It applies to what I do now because I'm able to reach more people and I can identify in a certain way, but I had to learn how to take the street out of my business. I had to learn how to take the street out of my social life, out of my friendships, out of my family, and not apply these hard-won judgments and thoughts around what this is supposed to look like. So I had to do a lot of work around this, and I had to decide from that place, right? Once I get, so for me, the first step was connection, because I couldn't create a vision of where I wanted to go unless I knew where I was at. And I kind of think of it like Google Maps, right? I need a current location and not just a destination. And so whichever way you do it, whether you backtrack or go forward, those are the first 2 steps every single time. And then from that place, as I start to move in that direction, as I start to create this process in my own life, right, of what is the next indicated step, and is that right? Does that serve me? What would that do for me? What won't that do for me? Whatever it is, I started to notice where my energy was going and where the focus was going in my life. And so for me, you and I always went back and forth on this, but I feel like it's just one and the same. Like the balance that I'm talking about when I say I sought balance in my life, it was this energetic balance. It was this like exchange of energy. Like, am I getting back from this what I'm putting into it? Like, is there something I can take away from? Maybe I'm focusing so much on this area of my life. Is there some way I can pull from that a little bit to focus on this so I can have more even spokes on my bicycle wheel? Right. And so being able to really figure out, okay, I can step back from this a little bit. I can add to this a little bit and just start to play this dance and get in harmony with the things that I'm with by being connected to my current experience and staying in alignment with and focused on my vision. And from that place, I would notice, okay, well, I'm really struggling to find balance or to be able to keep this balance that I would like to have, because I keep saying yes to this.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. How many people are like, that's such a people pleasers, right? We say yes.
Right. And what does that mean I'm having to say no to? You know, so what am I really saying? What might I need to be saying no to that I'm saying yes to, because it's deterring me from being in alignment with my focus? It's making me disconnect and resent and feel these feelings that aren't in alignment with what my highest self wants to be experiencing right now. And by conscious connection, that's what I'm tapping into, is like, what does my highest self want for me right now? What is the highest experience I can have for myself right now? And so far we've got connection, we've got alignment, we've got balance, and we've got the boundaries. And so now step 5 is authenticity. And it says my internet's unstable. So if I catch up, I'm sorry. That's okay. Freeze up, I mean. But am I being honest with myself about my yeses and nos? Right? Is what I am saying yes and no to really what I want to be saying yes and no to, or not? Right? It's not just about so I can find this balance. It's not just about, right? It's just really deep down. Is this right for me? Is this the path that I've actually decided for myself, or is it the path that someone else said that I should be taking? Right? My favorite
Such a
question here
huge
is,
difference. Yeah.
according to whom?
Yeah. Yeah.
According to whom?
Yep.
And it's so funny because I said that in a first session with a client, and we had set up for 6 months, and she's like, honestly, like, I feel like that just switched the switch. She's like, we'll see if we need another 6 months of this. But, she had paid in full. It was, we were, but it was just funny because she was like, oh my God, this light bulb moment of, according to who?
Yeah. Yeah. And don't we do that all the time, right? We should on ourselves, right? We're like, I should do this. I should do that. I need to do this, blah, 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 blah. And I love that question because it puts the power back into your hands. According to who? Like, who says that it has to be this way?
And you helped me really start questioning that the most, right? Because what I loved about working with you was the ability to, be asked the questions. As coaches, we have a tendency to do all the asking if we're good coaches, right? Consultants tell coaches ask the right questions. And by the right questions, I mean the right question that gets the answer that's the most authentic from the client. And you have a gift of that. And your example gave me an even better gift of that, because I'm a nosy girl. I want to know how come, what,
tell me,
right? Like, what's going on? And so are you. Like, so it's a good thing, in a good way, right? In a loving, like, nerd, like, give me more of you, tell me more, let me hold more space. And so I feel that that's really where the next piece, accountability, comes in, is that's why I do the work I do, is to help hold people accountable to their highest selves. But really, for the client, for myself in the process, that wasn't what it was. It was really about recognizing the difference between standards and goals, and like who I'm holding myself accountable to being. Like, who is my being? Yeah. Am I being my highest self? That's a meta. How am I responding to this?
Who is my being? That's a great question.
And I had to get honest with myself about that. Who am I so holding myself accountable to being? What is the standard of the way I treat myself? Does that help set the standard of the way I treat others? And then standards are different than goals. And I think we sometimes get confused with that, because it's like, right now, my basic standard of living is daily movement. My goal is to actually hit the gym heavy 4 or 5 times a week. But my standard of living, no matter what happens, I don't care if the world's falling apart, I'm moving every day, whether that's stretching for however long that looks for me, whether it's doing the Running Man and dancing and having a party in my living room, whether that's taking my dog for a walk, which happens no matter what every day anyway. And so whatever that looks like for me in the moment, a standard of living for me is I drink at least 2 of these a day. Like, at least, like, that's a minimum. This is 33 ounces, a liter or whatever. And morning and evening routines. I don't care what's going on. I don't care if it's a weekend. I don't care if I get up at 6 versus I get up at 8. This is what my morning looks like. This is where I center. And I've noticed that when I leave certain things out, saying, oh, those are goals, not standards, I suffer, because those are what I call my non-negotiables. And so that's really the last piece, is the accountability, is what are my non-negotiables, and connecting to those, making sure those are in alignment with where I want to be going, making sure I'm not creating an out of zealous expectation of myself, and that I'm keeping a healthy balance. And then noticing that if I want to up level in one area of my life, I might just have to start up leveling in all the areas in some way as well, to support that, staying in balance, in harmony, and honoring my yeses and nos, being honest with myself about what those actually are. And continuing that circle. And so it's just, I found recently, and you and I were chatting about this before we jumped on live, and I'm just so grateful to be able to be a product of my own work sometimes. And because the community that I've been able to build by being vulnerable and putting myself out there, and of course, vulnerability and courage is right in the forefront of my mind, because I've got Brene Brown, The Call to Courage, playing in the background from Netflix. If you guys haven't watched it, I've watched it like at least a half a dozen times.
Oh my gosh, I'm so watching that tonight. My husband's going out of town, so I will definitely be popping on.
If you haven't seen it, it's amazing. She is so good. I like aspire to be like her, because in the way that I speak when I get on stage, because the way that she interacts with the audience, she cracks jokes, she's authentic, she's vulnerable, key. And she really is a beautiful example of what that looks like. And so I've almost like studied her it's almost the point where I'm like studying her now, because I'm so inspired by her, mixed with like Joyce Meyers, and like, just the way people mixed with like different comedians, right? Because it's like, I'm starting to look at in my life, like, I'm expanding into like, what will it look like? Everyone asks, what would it look like if? And I'm like, I don't know. Let's start playing with this and like see what it could look like. And yeah. And so point being that I'm just so grateful that like the work that I've done, not just on myself and with myself, but with my clients and with my community and with my colleagues, that when I was in a bad place, bad being unmotivated, stuck on the couch, stuck repeating Netflix, like watching seasons at a time of Netflix and not taking action in the way I wanted to be taking action, and really starting to disconnect, which is my red zone. It's a bad zone. And it's dangerous for me to be disconnected. And so when I find myself in that place, I'm so grateful that there are these little anchors that I've created with the relationships that I've built and the work and the non-negotiables, that those kept me my head above water. And so thanks for being one of my anchors, Chris.
Oh my gosh. I love this so much. I want to just kind of, point out a couple things that are just like so inspiring to me. One of them for sure is the non-negotiables. That's something that we get to create these amazing businesses from a place of well-being, right? So, one of the things that you and I both are totally in alignment with is, we don't have to sacrifice our well-being for the work that we get to do. We get to have both, right? And having non-negotiables is so incredibly powerful. And, most of the time when I see clients that are overwhelmed or confused or not, feeling good, it's because one of their non-negotiables is out of alignment. It's, they've kind of stepped out into they're not taking care of themselves. So the thing that I love about this so much, Jen, is that through the process of you creating a signature system, oh my gosh, look at what it's done. Like, it has allowed you to have anchors in all of these 6 steps. It allows you to provide anchors for others. It allows you to create impact. It's allowed you to create income. We talk about our signature system, 10xing our income, opportunities, and impact, right? And that's what you're doing. And now you're writing a book with it. And
okay, so that's it. The book,
mackerel.
like I wouldn't, if it wasn't for you. And I think that was the whole point of all the scrolled off story, is that like a key point of that is it was the framework that I developed while I was working with you that actually gave me the opportunity. And you were actually the one that brought my writing coach, or my Sarah into your
by
group.
The way,
so I could
tell just Sarah Cannell.
Cannell. Yeah.
We love Sarah.
She is who I signed up with. She actually went through HCI as well. And so I had this familiarity with her. And so I'm so grateful for that. This like couple degree connection. And I had already spoken with her once, and then going through working with you for the 1.5, almost 2 years that I worked with you. And then having her come in right as I'm like really feeling like, okay, I've got this, I know how to do this. And I've got results from this. And I've worked with dozens of clients now around this who are doing incredibly well. And unbelievably, she pops back in. It's now I have a framework. Now I have a book. When I met with the editors, Audrey, she's like, you have all this content, everything you sent me, that's your book. And she's like, just throw your personal stories in there now. And I thought, no way. And sure enough.
Yep.
Sure enough.
Oh my God.
Yeah. And so it's done. It should be July, August, I think.
Oh
so
gosh,
really
that's crazy. Oh my gosh. Tell us what the name of the book is so we can be on the lookout for it.
Resilience, a different kind of strong.
Bye. Resilience, a different kind of strong. You're going to have to keep me posted, and I will by the way, if anybody's on my email list, I will make sure that you get a notice, because I will absolutely be on Jen's support team to kind of spread the love and share the info when her book is available, for sure. Amazing, Jen. Yeah.
So grateful for you, Chris. And absolutely, I'm going to be creating I'm just going to keep it simple because I have a new VA and we're working on learning landing pages right now. So for those of you business owners who are like, oh, I need to create a team. Make sure that you're super clear on every little piece, because I've had the same VA for 3 years. She had to medically retire. Another girl was put in her place from the company, and she doesn't know how to do landing pages. And so I get to teach that in Keep, and Keep is like a whole funnel system. So I may actually, even because of this, switch email marketing systems again. And I'm learning that this is just part of the ebb and flow of really actually running a 6 or multi-6-figure business, is that you get to manage people and train people and schedule time for that, and schedule and have backup plans for the fact that you, for the last 3 years, haven't had to make a landing page or a funnel with anything other, right? Because your VA has been doing that, and now you get to relearn. So it's really just, it's fun. It's fun. I'm having fun now. It wasn't fun for 2 months before this, but
well, you know,
I
I think your book is perfect. You know, the name Resilience, and, you know, resilience, it takes resilience to be an entrepreneur as well, too, because not everything works out all the time, right? Some months are going to be freaking amazing. Some years are going to be amazing. Some years are going to be crap. And it's just, you know, it's like that roller coaster ride as an entrepreneur, that, you know, we get to just kind of clasp hands and go on the ride, right? Yelling and screaming and, you know, and then coming up again and being like, okay, whew, went through that next level, right? But you know, being resilient, stepping into an empowered leader is so important in a way that we get to see that, oh, okay, it's not about having all of it figured out all of the time before I even take a move, right? We're actually learning as we're going. And I would love for you to kind of speak into that, because you did that so well. You did that so well, building your business.
It's so interesting, because it really is just the whole big old science project, right? Even hiring a VA science project, right? This is what I think is going to happen. That did not happen. Okay, we're going to do it, try it this way. Same thing for the business. When I was starting out, I was like, okay, well, I guess this is what I'll name it. It actually stuck. It's stuck the whole time. It may change one day, but the Freedom Framework is what it is. And it was 5 steps.
It never sucks.
Well, I mean, it was one of those things where it was like, get done is better than perfect. And I don't want to get hung up on a name before I move forward with this. And like, if I needed to call it the 6 steps to freedom, or if I needed to call it my signature framework, I was going to get it out there. Right. And so I did. And at first, as I said, the last piece was authenticity. And I just felt something was missing, because what is for me, the final piece was I couldn't do any of this without accountability, because I was never accountable to myself. Now I am. But I needed that support. I'll always need that support. And I think as coaches, you know, we get to be a product of our own work. We get to be an example of what it looks like to ask for help, to invest in help, to invest in ourselves, right? To be able to be, for me, that's the biggest piece, is being able to be an example of what it looks like to still make time for the things that make me whole. And when I don't do that, being an example of what it looks like when I don't. And being transparent and authentic around that, and say, hey, I'll suffer the consequences for you. Let me be the example of what it looks like to disconnect. To stop taking action and making the effort count. Right. And to be honest with yourself about where that might be coming from. Right. And to do the deeper work. I think that a lot of people want to go into business and make it all about just running a business. But if you aren't doing the deeper work, I mean, you can't build a skyscraper on sand. And I think that that's the key piece of it. It's the foundational work.
Yeah. And, you know, I think that, you know, you hit the nail on the head with something, with not letting perfect stop you, right? It didn't matter that it was a perfect name. It didn't matter whether everything was all figured out. You know, perfection stops us so often, and it really keeps people from taking the actions, the inspired actions that create results for them. And so I just want everybody to hear that it's okay for it to look messy. It's okay for it to feel messy. It's going to feel messy. It's going to feel wonky. It's going to feel shaky, because we're building something new. We've never done it before. And so being able to say, you know what, this is great for now. I'm going to put it out there. I'm going to do an experiment. I'm going to get feedback. I'm going to see how it goes. How does it resonate with me? How does it resonate with my clients? Does this flow? Does this make sense? But the only way that we know the answers to those is by actually implementing, right? Because, you know, action is the antidote, right? That we take the action, we get the results, and we keep going. So, you know, I love that, you know, you're like, nope, perfection over here. I'm going to, you know, take the action, see what happens, and not make it so darn serious with like the death grip on the steering wheel, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think that that's exactly kind of where I was at. Like, again, I had an ebb and flow, you know, it's ebb and flow. And this last couple months, it was ebbing, I think, right? If it's not flowing, it's ebbing, right? And I had to realize I'm putting up an energetic boundary. I'm doing something, I'm saying no to something. It's obviously subconscious, because consciously I want to be in action. I want to be doing the things and doing, you know, no matter how hard it is or how confusing it is, I never really had an issue with that. And I know I don't have an issue with that. And I know I'm a figure outer, right?
You are.
So what is it?
Yeah.
What is this boundary I'm setting with myself? Why, how am I trying to keep myself safe? What is that reason? And really, I think that as entrepreneurs, it's our responsibility to do the digging. It's our responsibility to like hold the flashlight. And sometimes when you're holding a flashlight, you bump into stuff, right? And so like, like maybe like angle out on the flashlight a little bit. And that's what I had to do, is I had to just get a wider lens going and really get a clearer vision. And when I step back and I really look, I'm like, okay, chill, Jen. Like, you own your own home outright. You make multiple six figures year after year. Like, this year you got stuck. There's something going on. You were blocking some stuff, and I got to acknowledge that stuff, and I got to be honest with myself about what I didn't want to face, because that's what it is every single time. Oh, I'll deal with that later. That's not important right now. Like, that's not really affecting my business, because I should still be able to take action in my business. Sure, go ahead. Good luck with that. Let me know how that works out for you. Right. And it's like, I always used to be able to joke like, hey, it's all right. You do. When I would run a boot camp in this martial arts dojo that I used to, run group training out of. And these girls would break and have to take a breath. And I'm like, that's fine, girl. This is your workout. You get I get my results. These are your results, not mine. I get my results. And then all of a sudden, every once in a while, you stop getting the results and you're like, okay. So now this is where a lot of people get scared, and you want to run. Personally, I haven't worked for anyone since I worked at Carl's Jr. when I was 16. So I've always worked for myself. But what I've seen from clients at this point is that they get scared and they want to run back and get a job, which is, there's nothing wrong with that. So let me preface with, like, if that's your thing and you want that base and like you want the insurance and all that stuff, like beautiful. The benefits are worth it a lot of the time. But for me, like, that wasn't an option. So I just need, whoever's listening to know that, like, when that's not an option for you, for me, it was my mental health. That's not an option for my mental health. And it's possible, because for the last 12 years now, no matter what, I figured it out. And as long as I start to step back and take a fisheye, a wider lens view around what it is that I'm not willing to face it, that's usually when I'm able to get breakthrough of what my next step actually is.
Yeah. But you do something else in there that we haven't even talked about yet. And that is, you have support. You're not just doing it on your own. It's, I have a saying that I share all the time, we can't read the label when we're inside the bottle. We can't, it's impossible. So it's like, we don't know what it is that we don't know. We need support structures around us, someone who's further down the freeway that can say, oh yeah, been there, done that. Here's how I handled it. See if, these pieces might work for you. But you've always done that. You've always leaned in versus tapping out, right? Even if we tap out temporarily, and look, we all tap out temporarily. I'm not saying that we have to lean in all the time, 100%. But when we notice that when we're trying to tap out, that's when we're like, oh, you know what? I probably need some support around this. And you get the support, which is phenomenal.
Oh yeah, I thought I'd mentioned it, and I may have it like briefly, but I think that that's, like I said, we're able to be the example of what it looks like to actually benefit from reaching out for help. And I think that it's very difficult for me, right? As someone who is like the codependent people pleaser, the one that needs to be needed, the one that wants to take care of everyone. I was the mom of the group always. I was the youngest, but I was the mom of the group. And, it's very difficult for us to admit to ourselves, let alone actually ask or reach out or get support, but to actually even admit that we can't do this on our own. And that's where it's just kind of trusting the process. It's like just being able to like know that this is what it is. Like we don't get to do it alone. Like, and if we do, we can. You absolutely can, for sure. It's gonna suck.
It's going to take a long time. It's going to take a long time.
If it really sucks right now for you and it's been taking a really long time and you just keep going like, but I have all the strategy. I took the trainings. Knowing and doing are two different things. So like, who's holding you accountable to doing, and what are they holding you accountable to doing? Who are you holding yourself accountable to other than self right now? Because self is self-sabotaging, obviously, or you'd be where you want to be.
Oh my gosh. So yes, that's another writer downer. Yeah, totally. What would you say to people? Because I know that there's people that are watching and they know that we opened up enrollment for Activate Abundance Academy. What would you say to the people who are on the fence that either don't trust themselves to move forward, or like, oh, it sounds really amazing, but like, what helped you kind of step off the fence and say yes to having support?
First of all, there was the know, like, trust, because you and I had that.
Yeah.
Right. And you do an amazing job of actually nurturing in on, or having your support team nurture in on and love on those people that really do reach out for support. Now, I think that during times with anybody I've invested in for coaching, there's been times when I didn't reach out for help. And then I started to build a little bit of resentment. And I was like, they're not coaching me. Bitch, you're not asking for help. Like, right? Like, how do you know? Right? Closed mouths don't get fed. And the minute that I open up my mouth, the minute that I say, hey, I'm struggling with this, there's support there. And, oh, here's this, watch this training, do these worksheets, and we'll meet for this, and we'll talk about this, or whatever it was. And it was really eye-opening, I think, because you did that, that was happening even before I ever invested with you. And so being able to really see how much you're willing to offer just from the masterclasses that you run, it gave me this, like, I just knew, like, it's one of those things where you just know deep down. Now your head tells you differently because you got all these bills, you don't really have it. Like, you're putting like it on 2 different credit cards. Like, and then, there's these different things that are going through your head around, like, there's just no way I'm going to make this happen.
Yeah.
Like, what would I need? And like, so this is something that I learned, thank God, early on. And it's been refreshed a lot lately, is what do I need to believe is true? Like, what do I need to believe is true? Like, in order for this to be successful for me and to make it worth the investment. Like, I need to believe that, like, by going through, and this is for your program specifically, from what I remember 4 years ago, whatever. And I know that the basics are there. So I will say this, like, I knew that because nurturing was literally part of your, like, whole program, I knew I was going to be taken care of. I knew I was going to be supported, because that's literally one of your steps that you're teaching other people to do. So it just felt like, okay, obviously that's what her business model is. Being able to really learn how to invite. That was a really big piece for me, is because I was so afraid of inviting. Who am I? Who do I think I am? And what do I really have to invite them to? And I knew that in between those steps, I was going to figure out what the hell I was inviting them to. And I really needed to get clear on that. And like, so what did I need? And I really dug deep around that. Like, what did I need? And everything you spoke to in your program really spoke to the answers from that. And so being able to not just connect with, but to nurture and like support and like reach out and re-invite and be in a place where it's not coming from a place of, she's bugging me. That's what was going on. And now I remember the Instagram and like the everywhere messaging, everybody was so salesy. Everybody was like, hey, and pitching, like, and it just got to the point where I was like, I don't want to be that. Like, I don't even want to make an invitation, because I don't even want them to associate me with what's happening right now in the MLM industries. And in the cookie cutter $2 for NLP coaching programs, and like just the different things that were coming around. And I think that what really struck me the most was that you were heart-centered. It was heart-centered. And I was like, what the hell does heart-centered mean? Like, what does that even mean? Right? Like, how woo is that? Right.
What the hell?
And then I realized, I was like, oh, right. Like, from a place that's not gross. Right. That's what that means. From like a place that doesn't feel like yucky. Like, I don't know how else to put it. Like, it just feels gross. Like, ugh. That's the feeling I get from these people when I get pitched to sometimes. And then there's other times, like with Sarah, with you, with other people that I've worked with, where it's like, hey, this is what we do. This is how I help people. This is the problem I had. And so I had to figure it the frick out. And so now I help other people figure it the frick out. And it was from a genuine, authentic place. It wasn't even where you started wanting to be a coach, right? And like, then you were health coaching. That's what you did. And then all of a sudden people were like, I don't know how to do this. How come you're successful? And you were like, oh, you just do this. And then you were like, oh, you just do this. And then by the time you were like, okay, I can't afford to say, oh, you just do this many times for free. So you started charging for it, built your own business, and became a successful coach's coach. Right. And so I learned that from paying attention to who you are, checking out, interviewing your business before you even knew I was. I got that from then actually being a part of the program, and then receiving that tenfold, because it changed the way that I did business. So
thank you, Jen. So good. So good. Where can we find you? Where can people get in touch with you?
Oh gosh. Well, now that I'm out of my cave, I'm on social. I'm at Lifestyle Recovery Solutions on Instagram and I guess that's it, .com.
Okay.
lifestylerecoverysolutions.com is my website. And so anytime I'm running a masterclass or whenever the book is released or like we have a launch date, all that information will be updated there. You can also find me at my personal account on Instagram is Fit Mind Body, the letter N Spirit. And we can link that. I can send you those credentials.
Yes,
so that
definitely.
you can
We'll
share there.
definitely send it to me, or we can pop it in the Facebook group. So, y'all can reach out to Jen, for those of you that are health coaches, life coaches that are not in the business side of it. I just think it's so important that we get to see other people that are succeeding in that area, because there are so many myths. I know I had one of the myths. Oh, you can't really make, and I cannot tell you how many times people say, oh, can you really make money as a health coach? Can you oh, the only ones that are making money are the ones that are business coaches. And let me say, that's just not true. That, when people are saying that, that's because they're afraid of their own internal limitations to be able to step fully into embracing and doing the work and taking the actions and implementing the steps to actually grow their own health coaching business. But you absolutely can make amazing money sharing your gifts, and not even just being a health coach. And we've got energy workers, we've got herbalists, we've got culinary nutritionists, we've got health coaches, life coaches, spiritual coaches, relationship coaches. And I know, Jen, you and I in the mastermind that we're in, I think there's only two of us. I think it's just me and Stacy that do business coaching. Everybody else does something else. We've got NLP, we've got you in Lifestyle Recovery Solutions, we've got Suzanne who does the NLP, we've got
Tapping with
tapping.
Nancy.
Yeah.
Gosh, there's the Enneagram work with.
Oh, Rosalind.
Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
We
then,
had Sarah V in
there's
there. Sarah V, so
manifestation
she's doing
coach.
yes, and she is like doing some really cool stuff at high-end luxury hotels now. And she's a life coach, so it's absolutely possible. Look for what it is that you want. Like, don't focus on the people that are saying, oh, you can't do this, it's not possible. We get to shift what we're looking for, because we're always going to find what we're looking for. So look for the people who are absolutely making an amazing business and doing what it is that they love and impacting the world, for sure. Yeah. So reach out to Jen if you have any questions about whether or not you can do this or not. You absolutely can.
Absolutely. And Chris, like I said, I'm so grateful that you are an example of what it looks like, right? You're an example of what it looks like. And so you're leading the way for us. And as a result, I get to lead the way for others. And, and I think that like attracts like, and if you're not doing what you love, people can tell. And if you are doing what you love and putting your whole self into it, people can tell. And so step into it with that energy and you can't help but be successful.
Yeah, so true. Oh my gosh, I love you. I adore you, my dear.
You.
Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for just sharing and being an example of what's possible and sharing your message of hope. I mean, I cannot wait for your book. I am going to be like waving it all around.
Well, I'm gonna send you a sneak copy. Google.
I'm gonna be buying some and giving some away.
Well, I sure hope so. That's why I'm gonna throw you the first piece so you can talk about it to your friends.
Hell yeah.
Our friends. Awesome. But yeah. Oh, sweet girl, I love you. Thank you so much for having me with you.
Yeah. Bye, everybody. Bye, Jen.